One of the inevitable experiences we face in life is suffering. Regardless of who we are or where we come from, suffering permeates our daily lives in various forms. Whether it's conflict in relationships, pressure at work, health issues, anxiety about the future, or feelings of regret from past failures, suffering weighs heavily on our hearts and minds. But where does this suffering come from? And more importantly, how can we free ourselves from its grip? Kukai, the founder of Shingon Buddhism, offers profound insights into the essence of suffering and teaches us practical ways to embrace and overcome it. Today, we will delve into Kukai's teachings to uncover the true nature of suffering and discover how to overcome it, so that we may lead lives filled with peace and inner freedom. The source of suffering, attachment, and desire. The first question to explore is, where does suffering stem from? According to Kukai, the root cause of our suffering is attachment and desire. We tend to cling to material possessions, seek approval and love from others, desire stability, and yearn for success and recognition. When these desires are unmet, we experience suffering. For example, consider someone who is deeply attached to their career success. If they fail to achieve a promotion or receive the recognition they expect, they may feel deep disappointment and self-doubt. Similarly, when our desire for love and affection is unfulfilled, we may feel lonely and sorrowful. This attachment binds us, and the failure to satisfy these desires leads to suffering. In modern society, such suffering is pervasive. People chase success, fame, wealth, and validation. Yet, when they fail to obtain these things, or when they fear losing what they have, suffering arises. As long as we remain attached to these desires, we cannot find true peace of mind. The wisdom of emptiness, in Kukai's teachings. A key concept in understanding suffering within Kukai's teachings is the principle of or emptiness. In Buddhism, emptiness refers to the fundamental truth that everything is impermanent and ever-changing. Nothing in life has a fixed or lasting essence, and nothing we hold on to can last forever. This teaching reminds us that everything we cling to, whether material possessions, emotions, social status, or relationships, is temporary. Success, status, or even cherished relationships may change or fade with time. If we view these things as permanent or unchanging, we will inevitably experience suffering when they change or disappear. However, by understanding we can release ourselves from attachment. Once we grasp that everything is subject to change, we can let go of the desire to control or cling to these fleeting aspects of life. In doing so, we find liberation from the suffering that arises from these attachments. The importance of impermanence, Mujō. Closely related to the concept of emptiness is the understanding of impermanence, known as Mujō in Buddhist teachings. This principle teaches that everything in the universe is constantly changing and nothing remains the same. Recognizing and accepting this truth is crucial for overcoming suffering. We often feel powerless and disappointed when life doesn't go the way we expect. However, by embracing the reality of impermanence, we can come to terms with the natural changes that occur in life. Whether it's a personal failure, the loss of a loved one, or the ending of a cherished phase of life, everything is subject to change. By fully internalizing this understanding, we can begin to accept life as it is, rather than as we wish it to be. This acceptance enables us to approach difficulties with calmness and resilience, which in turn helps us find peace, even in the midst of suffering. The courage to let go. Kukai's teachings on non-attachment. Kukai also teaches us the importance of letting go and cultivating the courage to release our attachments. We often hold on tightly to material possessions, relationships, or social status, fearing the loss of what we have. This clinging arises from a desire for security and control. However, Kukai encourages us to let go of these attachments in order to achieve true freedom. By relinquishing our grip on material things and status, we free ourselves from the mental burden of fear and anxiety. This act of letting go requires courage, but it is the path to inner peace. Consider how often we worry about losing what we have, whether it's a job, a relationship, or even an idea of how life should be. These fears stem from our attachments, and they keep us bound in a cycle of suffering. By practicing non-attachment, we can release these fears and experience greater freedom. The practice of the three mysteries, Sanmitsu. To help us on the path to overcoming suffering, Kukai introduced a practice known as the three mysteries, Sanmitsu. This practice focuses on uniting body, speech, and mind in a process of inner purification and spiritual growth. Body. The actions we take in our daily lives shape our spiritual journey. Through mindful actions, such as ritualistic practices or even simple acts of kindness, we cultivate the right attitude and behavior to overcome attachment and suffering. Speech. Our words have power, not only over others but also over ourselves. By speaking truthfully and compassionately, we align our intentions with our actions and purify our thoughts. This verbal discipline aids in overcoming negative emotions and attachments. Mind. The mind is the root of our desires and attachments. Through meditation and reflection, we can observe the workings of our mind, identify harmful attachments, and gradually let them go. Purifying the mind is key to achieving liberation from suffering. The practice of Sanmitsu is a holistic approach to personal transformation, and it can be incorporated into daily life regardless of our circumstances. By consistently aligning body, speech, and mind, we can work toward releasing our attachments and finding inner peace. Unity with the cosmic Buddha, a broader perspective on suffering. At the heart of Kukai's teachings is the concept of unity with Dainichi Nyorai, the cosmic Buddha, who represents the fundamental essence of the universe. Through this connection, we transcend our limited individual perspective and view life from a broader, universal standpoint. When we are trapped in our own narrow viewpoints, personal struggles can seem overwhelming. However, by recognizing our unity with the greater cosmic reality, we can view our suffering in a different light. Personal failures and interpersonal conflicts are mere fleeting moments within the grand tapestry of existence. Kukai teaches that by connecting with the universal wisdom of Dainichi Nyorai, we can see our individual suffering as part of a much larger whole. This shift in perspective enables us to reduce the emotional weight of our struggles and approach life with greater serenity and understanding. Suffering as an opportunity for growth. A key aspect of Kukai's teachings is the understanding that suffering is not something to be avoided or rejected, but rather embraced as an opportunity for growth. According to Kukai, suffering is a tool that helps us awaken to our true nature and deepen our spiritual practice. For instance, when we encounter difficulties in work, relationships, or health, we can choose to see these challenges as lessons rather than mere hardships. Each experience of suffering provides an opportunity to cultivate wisdom, patience, and compassion. Through this lens, suffering becomes a catalyst for personal and spiritual growth. The path of immediate enlightenment, Sokushin Jobutsu. One of the most remarkable aspects of Kukai's teachings is the concept of Sokushin Jobutsu, or achieving enlightenment within one's lifetime. Unlike many other Buddhist traditions that emphasize enlightenment as something to be attained after death, Kukai taught that we can attain Buddhahood while still alive. By confronting and transcending suffering in our everyday lives, we move closer to awakening. Through dedicated spiritual practice and the cultivation of non-attachment, we can experience liberation from suffering and attain a state of inner peace and enlightenment, even in the midst of life's challenges. Compassion for others, the Bodhisattva mind. Lastly, Kukai emphasized the importance of compassion as a means to transcend personal suffering, known as the Bodhisattva mind, Bodhi-shin. This attitude involves dedicating oneself to alleviating the suffering of others. Kukai taught that through selfless action and concern for the well-being of others, we can purify our own hearts and diminish our personal suffering. When we focus solely on our own desires and attachments, suffering persists. However, by acting with compassion and empathy toward others, we can gradually free ourselves from self-centered desires. Helping others in their suffering allows us to cultivate a broader perspective, and in doing so, we find relief from our own burdens. By adopting the Bodhisattva mind, we not only reduce our own suffering, but also contribute to the well-being and peace of the wider world. Conclusion: overcoming suffering through Kukai's teachings. Kukai's teachings offer profound guidance on how to understand and overcome suffering. Rather than avoiding or denying suffering, Kukai encourages us to embrace it as an opportunity for growth. By letting go of attachment, understanding the impermanent nature of life, and cultivating compassion, we can transcend suffering and discover lasting peace. Through the practice of the three mysteries, the wisdom of Ku, and a compassionate heart, we can walk the path of immediate enlightenment and live a life of profound inner freedom. As we continue on this journey, may Kukai's teachings serve as a guiding light, helping us navigate the challenges of life with clarity, resilience, and compassion.